Thank you so much for being on the show, Chris.
Thank you very much for inviting me. Very excited.
Before we talk about game plan, I'd love to just hear a little bit about the backstory and helped and how did it start?
I was working previously in-house for about 10 years and 2 years at an agency. So what I tended to find each time I was either dealing with clients or being in-house is that we were always looking for like extra help to come in. But not just that, we were looking for things like training. So we had quite a few clients that were like, can you help us with training? Can you come into the business? Do you actually understand our business? How can we kind of leverage your knowledge? So what I was finding is that there wasn't just like marketplace issues, there was other issues, so like fulfillment. So with the background that I have, it was perfect, kind of a perfect market fit really. Got some clients quite quickly and then just kind of built it up from there.
Why do you need a game plan?
Yeah, so it kind of all depends what your goals are really. So what are your business goals? Where do you want to get to? What do you plan to do really? The way that we kind of set it up is we'll have kind of 5 main points. You'll start with where are you now? Like what's going on in your business, what's going on in your marketplace business, and then it's kind of where do you want to get to, and then there's a few different questions in between that as well. What do we need to do, how do we need to do it, and how will we measure it? And once you can kind of answer all those 5 questions, then you can build a game plan. And the reason being is that a lot of people know, and there's a lot of information out there now, especially these days anyway, of like what needs to be done on an Amazon vendor account. It's not just knowing what needs to be done, it's kind of knowing what order that needs to be looked at and kind of following that methodical path to make sure that you can actually show success really.
How do you start? Practically, what's a good way into this?
Usually the best way to start is to actually audit your account. Then you can actually answer the first question of where you are now. The bottom bullet point there is kind of where we tend to start. So this is just like an acronym really that we set up within the agency, and it just stands for marketing, merchandising, metrics, inventory, shipping, automation, international, and miscellaneous, which is kind of like outside traffic into Amazon. Essentially what you want to do is you want to audit through your account, so looking at all the different factors, so making sure like what's your inventory health like, how much you spend on advertising, what's that returning, what's your TAC cost, what's your A cost, or are you doing it based on selling price to Amazon? It's just making sure that essentially you know exactly what's going on in that account. What we do after we've broken down and we've actually audited the account, and which you should be doing yourself, is actually building an impact scoring. Depending what you want the impact to be, is your impact main goal going to be profitability, or is it going to be growth? And pretty much everything that you do within there is going to boil down to like these 3 main things. One is inventory, gain clicks, gain conversion.
How do you take some of that and how do you sort of phase that out? So you've spoken about the quick wins. How do you give shape to that?
It is really account specific, to be honest. So they've got to buy in at the beginning when you're actually going into the businesses and you're explaining like, and you're sitting down with a group of people and you're going through like, this is the process, this is why we do it. You're going to see a better return by doing it this way. Then you just throw in products saying we want this one changed, we want this one changed, we want this one changed. So yeah, it's all about focus.
What are the things you typically find on that short list of quick wins? Follow-up question would be, what are the things that you often tend to push off that list that your clients may want to put on there, but you're trying to be very disciplined and kind of push that off to get that real clear prioritization?
I'll start with the last one first. So one thing that we always see is like, predominantly we do work with UK businesses, so that it's UK first and then they go international markets. 99% of the case, it's like, just comes back to that focus. It's like, we've not even got that far with the UK yet. And then they're just like, oh yeah, let's set up international, let's go move to Germany and things like that. And it's never quite as easy as that. So that's always the one that tends to be the furthest away. Some of the quick wins that we regularly see is like, depending on the products again, it's like just things like setting up business discounts. So we'll go into the account, we'll look through the reports, and it'll be like 10% of their sales are coming from business. We'll have a look through. That tends to be one of them.
What specific steps do you undertake? What advice would you have around them to help them stay on track, to stick to their game plan?
Essentially what you want to do is measure everything. So like we have something called the product update tracker, tracking the changes, looking to see if there's been any change on the conversion rate. We can also look, so sometimes what we see is that if it's a seasonal product, you can make changes to the product, but because it's seasonal, it might be a peak or a trough anyway. So what we'd be using is things like the best selling rank to see how it actually flows within the category, and then we'd also be looking to track keywords, so using like third-party tools to track.
What advice do you have for vendors? what are the metrics that you'd expect them to track?
One is going to be like the conversion rate of your product, your sales into Amazon, your sales out from Amazon directly to the consumer. You'd be also looking at like attributed advertising costs. So it depends how you want to work it out. So I mean, it doesn't quite work the same for seller and vendor, but you'd be looking at some kind of ACOS or PCOGs, TACOS. It depends how you want to work it out. But definitely you want to be tracking how you're advertising and measuring, probably the main ones within site, and also your inventory health, unfortunately, which has just changed in the last few days, which is a pain. But usually I'd be kind of tracking to see how much stock Amazon's holding of our products, and kind of seeing how that fluctuates over time, and historically going back, and things like return rate. Just pretty much measure whatever information you can get out of Amazon. Basically take a note on a certain day every month, put it into a separate spreadsheet, and then you can just track it over time. And then again, third-party tools, you'd be looking to essentially like track keywords and using keeper data.
This all sounds pretty simple, pretty straightforward. I know with Amazon it never is. Why is it not as simple as it sounds? We must be missing something.
It is and it isn't, to be honest. I kind of going back to my very first point is that you kind of need, there's a lot of moving parts, there's a lot of things going on, and you need a lot of like aces in places. What we like to say anyway is making sure you've got the right people doing the right thing. Probably one of the best advice that I can actually give to any brands is to just go into the account and literally open every single page on vendor and just go through anything that you're unsure of, hit it into Google, find out exactly what it means, and that will help with your auditing process as well. The more you know and the more you know where you can pull information from, then the better it can be, really. And then if you are really stuck, then obviously there's software like yours and agencies like ours to give help where needed.
What are some of the other things you may want to just challenge them on in terms of tips, tricks, pitfalls to avoid?
Tracking what you're doing. So a really good thing really is to start building SOPs. Even if they are just like loosely covers, they don't have to be followed exactly to the letter of the law of there, but at least it gives people some guidance of like, this is what happens when a purchase order comes in, this is what happens when we need to make a change to the listing, them kind of things. So you can do it kind of with written documents, so you can build SOPs, things like Loom, just to record little, you don't even have to put your face on it or anything, you can literally just record the screen and talk. And again, Gantt charts for roadmaps, for planning, just anything to do with projects. So it's basically just kind of getting organized, really.
What's the best way for anyone to get in touch with you?
Yeah, so I mean, there's multiple ways. So the main one is going to be the website, which is help.co.uk. Then LinkedIn. So just drop me a quick message, and then we'll get back as soon as possible.